Hello, friends from the manga world. My name is G.
And I'm Hector.
And we are here to do a very interesting video. We did this with collected editions and
Hmm.
graphic novels, but we're here to present you our favorite picks of 2024 for manga. Now we're titling it this way, but please note that it's not just manga that we're talking about. Like we also have like Korean manhwa on the list. We have light novels on the list. So a bit more variety here to look forward to. So we're very excited to share. Uh, we're gonna go overboard probably.
Yeah,
Hopefully you make it to the end of this
yeah.
recording. But I
No
mean,
matter how much we try, it's
to
to make
shorten
it
it
too short of it,
is
it's not gonna
I
be
like
possible. Yeah,
it's
we
not
know.
gonna be possible. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah.
So there is not in any particular order our picks. We're picking five
Mhm.
each, just so you know, and it's just we just wanted to express what we enjoyed reading this year. These are
Yeah.
particularly books published in the year of 2024 that we
Hmm.
represent. I should have mentioned if you aren't aware and if you're new, we work for Penguin Random House, so the titles that you'll see here are those that we can distribute internationally around the world. So yes. So, I guess I'll go first.
Yeah, might as
I'll
well.
get started on this. So, one of my picks is Reborn Rich.
Hmm.
Of course, I had to pick this. This is
I think you
also,
talked about this title like 3 or 4 times during the
yeah,
year
yeah,
before
even
it came
before it
out.
came out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I had to talk about this. I first knew about this because it was such a huge drama, like K-drama when it was coming out. And for obvious reasons, this is like a very engrossing show, but it's also a very engrossing manhwa. So it's about this main character named Hyunwoo. You're actually seeing like
In
his
the middle. Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
sorry. You're you're seeing him as a little child. I'll explain what's happening here. None of what I'm saying is very much of a spoiler. Just FYI, it very much happens within the first couple of pages. It's in the premise. So basically, Hyunwoo is this employee at this company named Sonyeon Group, and he gets murdered by his employees after 13 years of being a loyal employee at this company. You can think of Sonyeon Group as this like business empire that's very much at the top in South Korea. It's almost implying that it's kind of like Samsung. I'm just going to put that out there just because of the way it's being read. It's like a huge corporation. And I had actually talked to my friend about this because she wasn't aware how like it even like the business empires and the drama there and the people involved, it's very much like the royal family. Like very much so
Yeah.
the attention people follow the drama. It's very much like that.
Hmm.
And you kind of get this in this title. So why I like this is I was just invested. This is really a story about mind games and strategy. So we have this main character who dies, gets killed, gets reborn into a body of a 10-year-old boy, and he happens to be the grandson of the founder of the business empire, the Sonyeon Group. So now that he is reborn in this body, this is his chance to figure out who his killer is, but also to exact revenge by aiming for a hostile takeover because he knows so much about this company. I should mention when he's reborn into the past in the 1980s, which is a very interesting history when you talk about Korean history at the time. So if you're a history buff, while this is a fictional piece of work, there is like you can get a sense of like how do I explain? Like there are comparable references that happen in real life and history. So you can get some of that when you're reading this as well. So it's just really about again these mind games. I did want to show interior image here. So this is his grandfather, the founder of the company. When I'm talking about the strategy and the internal machinations that you see here, this him as this little boy is trying to figure out who his grandfather is and how he can gain favor towards this founder. And he says, I know what kind of attitude he wants from his grandchild, an adamant attitude, someone who refuses to surrender. He wants a ruler of an empire. He wants the qualities of a king. He wants someone to outdo his enemies on and off the battlefield. So that's the kind of personality that he like values in like an heir. But because he's reborn as the youngest grandchild, he doesn't have a lead as the heir of the company. So he has to figure out a way to like understand personalities within the family like group to figure out how best way to infiltrate and get to the top. So that's what I'm talking about. It's very much like a mind chess game kind of story. So if you like that kind of thing, I highly recommend it. I very much enjoyed it. So I will stop talking here because I've already talked long enough. So yes, that's one of my picks.
All right. So let's go to my first pick is Apothecary Diaries, number one light novel. And of course, everybody should know what this is. But if you've been living under a rock and you don't know, I'll tell you a little bit about it. And this is about this character right here, Mamau, who the daughter of a apothecary and medicine man, and she's learning everything her dad knows. And one day, just walking along, she gets kidnapped and sold to the to the back palace of the emperor, where the concubines live, as as it happens in this time. And I say it this way because that's the way it's written. It is. There's a lot of terrible things that happen that they just presented and said, "Oh, it's normal." And Mama's attitude is always like, "I got kidnapped. I have to work at the palace and before I could go back home and all this." But she's very smart. She has a lot of wit, and she is an amazing, amazing sort of mind. Has an amazing mind to solve puzzles. She loves poisons and how to counteract poison. So she gets the job of eating food of one of the concubines before tasting. Before, so if it's poison, she gets excited about it. So this character is just an amazing character. But then you get all these um, kind of episodic mysteries, almost, or little arcs actually, throughout the novel, but also the manga and the anime, where she has to uncover what's happening. And there are small ones like somebody stole something, and it goes to bigger ones, somebody got killed. And the author, I should mention, this is written by Natsu Hyuga. And the writer not only does a great job of showing you what the era was, what are the politics, and of how the palace and the back palace worked, but also it's he's so good at humor, to put humor in some of these things. And the mysteries, again, they're so simple, but they're also very, very intricate in the way that she has to find clues and solve them. And there's a lot more happening. There's a amazing relationship with sort of the one of the head of sort of I forget what his exact position is, but it's the head of sort of the back palace, and one of the big guys there, and he's so beautiful that women just faint at his side, and there's just but she doesn't. So there's this also relationship, sort of kind of chemistry building between them. There's how this character, who's very smart, but also one of the smartest things she does is try to make herself uh, be unnoticeable, so she can live her life at peace and not have to be take. If she gets a lot of attention, she knows she's gonna have a lot of trouble. And there's a lot of family mysteries behind all his story and everybody else's story. So, and I especially wanted to mention the light novel because I mean I love the manga, I love the anime, and the second season is coming up in 2025. Uh, but the light novel, and light novels, if you don't know, they take you to even further into the story, and something as big as this with a lot of details. You really need to read the light novel too. I think the manga gives you a very amazing perspective because it shows you with the illustration what the world looks like and everything else. And this does have some illustrations in it. If you don't know, light novels are about 300 pages, and they do include some illustration. I can't find any of them right now, but yeah, I don't know if you can really see them. And but it gives you a little bit more detail of the description of the world and the characters themselves. So highly, highly recommended. I also want to say, there's more, obviously more volumes coming of the light novel, of the manga too, still continuing, but also Square Enix, who publishes this, is also coming up with the art of the anime in May. So next year is very much going to be the year of Apothecary Diaries. So stock up. You need to have this on yourselves for sure.
Mhm, mhm. All right, my next pick is Medalist. This is the volume one. We have the main character, Inori, who's this little girl up in front. She has this dream of becoming a figure skater, yet her dream seems very unattainable because she's too old and she's 11 years old. That is in the sport, you have like kids starting really young. In consideration of that and that framework, yet she is starting at a later age. She meets this coach, who's also here on this front page, I should say front cover, Sakasa, who is on the brink of leaving the figure skating competition himself. And he meets her one day, and he very much to explain this in a way of why I enjoyed it, actually, like I'm backing it up a little bit, but you can identify, and he identifies with this 11-year-old girl, even though her experiences are so different. Like, I'm not in professional figure skating at all, but we can all relate to this little girl because he gets inspired by her passion, and because of that, he like wants to commit to her, and they form a team where they want to prove to everyone that even though she's starting later in life, she doesn't have, figure skating, getting into that is very expensive. She doesn't have the privileges that some people grew up having. And so he and also her wants to prove to everyone that they can make it, and they could, with the help of not just themselves, but with the community to eventually get to victory. And so I love it because she is such a compelling character. When you're adults, just like her coach, reality starts to set in. Like he's about to give up on his dreams about being in competitive sport. But through her, he's able to find, wow, this is like a girl who doesn't have much. She doesn't have a lot of money, yet she does everything that she could possibly do within her means to learn this sport just because she loves it so much. And so that is very like you kind of lose that the older that you get, but like seeing someone so young and so determined, it's truly a thing to witness. So what I mentioned, like look at how cute she is. How can
Yeah.
you not like there's just something about like this little girl, single-minded, focusing on studying, practicing, working, honing in her craft to what she
Yeah.
wants to do because she loves it so much. Whenever like she fails, whenever she wins, it really affects you as you're reading this manga. I highly recommend picking this up, especially in preparation for the anime that's coming out next year. I just have a feeling that it will grab people, especially
Yeah.
those who haven't read it. It'll definitely grab people when the anime comes out, but highly recommend picking
Yeah.
this up.
I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing a lot of cosplays with little girls with the little
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
the hair on the side. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So my next pick is, to no surprise to people who know me, Mushoku Tensei, Redundant Reincarnation, Light Novel, Volume 1. And I saw comments online of people just like fans saying, "Oh, we're getting more and more and more," and it's great because we can't get enough Mushoku Tensei. We have the spin-offs, we have obviously the manga and the light novel of the original series, which have already ended. The anime is still ongoing, but we get all these other extra ones, and this is a collection of short stories. I feel like I don't want to say too much about it because there's a lot of spoilers in the description of it for people who haven't read it or not follow Mushoku Tensei. I mean, it's not. Uh, Again, some of it is obvious. Obviously, the hero survives and have a happy ending, but there are so many other things, and just knowing the characters sometimes is a spoiler. But I do want to say, just for fans and for people who follow it, to kind of know what the stories are. And this book includes Norm's betrothal, Lucy's first day of school. You see Lucy here in the cover, and if you don't know who Lucy is, you need to catch up on reading. Definitely. Isolde's looks for a husband, Doga's the gatekeeper, and Isolde and Doga. Uh, and the woman they call the Mad Dog, which, if you read the light novels and the manga, you know who we're talking about. So this is a lot of people call it, and I agree, is sort of the ultimate isekai fantasy. It is a harem, but it's more than that. It's about family. It's about found family. It's about a lot about the character, and that's why this book is so great because it gives you a little bit more into the lives of the side characters, and that's what Mushoku Tensei is so great about. It's like many isekais. You sometimes forget that he comes from our world, but Mushoku Tensei is good about sort of bring that back in and sort of always tie it back into what's happening in the story. And these short stories, they do that a little bit too. So definitely one of my favorite reads this year. And there's, like I said, tons of light novels and spin-offs and mangas and more seasons coming of the anime. So check it out.
All right, my next pick is a Kingdom of Quartz. So
Mhm.
this is a world where angels protect people against demons. We have this young orphan. She has pitch black wings, which is very much out of the norm because all the children around her has white wings, and because of that, she's often singled out, bullied because of her difference. And people whisper that she must be cursed because her wings are of a darker color. But this is her story about her dream of joining the ranks of the angels who serve to protect the kingdom. And so she very much really wants to do that. Why I find this so interesting is because she's an orphan, you don't really know her backstory. Why is her wings a different color? Where did she come from? So this is all unknown. And and I also enjoy it because of her. If you actually like Medalist, I would say you probably would like her as a character because it's in a similar way, she's so passionate about wanting to protect people, to become an angel, that personality is so infectious. So she's like another kind of protagonist where you definitely feel that as you're reading this. But her like ambition is it's very naive in a way because like she's blinded by her like want to do good and to help people, that sometimes, this is not a kind world, right? So it's amazing to see her be so optimistic about the good in people, and it's hard to see that at times because there's so much pain, destruction, and violence that surrounds her. So just because this story has a protagonist with a little girl doesn't mean that the violence is tempered at all. It is very much gory. It is bloody as is reality. And you definitely see that in this story. So, fans of Medalist, even though that's an ice skating story, you can kind of see the similarities of like going after what you want in life. But then you have like fans of Made in the Abyss, which Hat Atelier. Those fans would probably also enjoy this. The art, I gotta say, the art is gorgeous. So like you can
Yeah,
see the spread of her looking overlooking the Kingdom of Quartz. I mean, it is black and white obviously, but there are some colored pages. You can really get a sense once it's colored as well how beautiful the art is. But even in black and white, the details of the art, it's so incredibly beautiful. And this is what I mean. Like there are some
yeah.
pages where you can get like some of the creepiness and the darkness. And there is this like because you don't know where her background is from and who like birthed her, there's like people like question whether or not she's cursed because there is like a little bit of darkness within her, but like her heart prevails pretty much all the time.
Hmm.
But it's that mystery that you see here. So highly recommend it. Yes, I love this a lot and I
Yeah.
hope you do too.
Yes. And we continue very fast too because we knew we were gonna go long. But anyways,
Yes.
this is Victoria's Electric Coffin. This is volume one, and this is sort of a quirky adaptation. Well, a different sort of based loosely based on Frankenstein, really. But this is David Douglas, who is the main character, the guy who you see here. He is uh, he is scheduled to be executed for his crimes, and suddenly this little girl that you see here, 13-year-old Victoria Frankenstein, walks in and makes a deal to take over his body when he's dead, and she brings him back to life, and she turns him into what she calls the electric coffin, and she is it's sort of her invention that uh, about bringing people back, but also sort of giving them some sort of power. But it's the story is a very cool story about second chances for both of them. And even though Victoria is so young, she's extremely smart, but that rubs a lot of scientists the wrong way, obviously. And she has these ideas about science and what what the world needs as far as scientific discoveries and all that that the rest of the community don't agree with. And in the case of David, David is like he has a second chance, but also a second chance he didn't ask for, but he learns to appreciate it and to make the best of it. And of course, there's the connection between both of them, very two completely opposite, unlikely allies that come together. So it's a very beautiful story. It's filled with a lot of extreme sci-fi fantasy elements into it, but it's also very beautifully illustrated and a lot of very funny scenes in it too, which I love. um and I think the most the what I love the most, the story is amazing, but what I love the most is the two characters and the way the creator, I'm looking for their name, Ikuno Tajima, created these characters, and the chemistry between these characters is really what makes this so special to me. So highly recommend it, definitely.
All right, my next pick is Mobsters in Love. So we
Hmm.
have Akihiro, who has this huge secret. He's been hopelessly in love for years with his mob boss. So what I like about this is that the mob boss is seemingly unconscious about his crush, like this guy crushing on him. But what I really like it is because sometimes the mob boss does things that is very unintentionally seductive. So like we have Akihiro who's like, is he flirting with me? Oh my God, I can't believe he said that. But like, and then like the mob boss says something like truly normal, and he's like, oh, I guess it isn't like that. So it's funny because like Akihiro is thinking maybe my time is now. I must confess, but immediately pulls it back when like they go back to regular mob-like business. Right. So it kind of reminds me of obviously this is very fluffy, at least with volume one. I want to continue. I haven't continued to volume two, but I do want. I don't know how spicy it gets, basically. It's very much fluffy in volume one, so it's very much different. But it reminds me of I think my son is gay because in that book we have a character, like a boy who doesn't, he hasn't come out yet, but like he can't hide his emotions because he has a crush on his friend, and his mom sees that, but she doesn't want to reveal it without him first telling her. So it kind of reminds me of that because you have this character who very much is keeping his crush, like his emotions in, but is so blatantly obvious on his face. Like I'll just give you an example. Like his boss is like about to get jumped on the streets, and then his boss says, I do need you with me. He's like, what? He blushes. It's like unintentionally being seductive. So it's like really cute and funny in that way. I think fans of Cherry Magic would like this. The reason why is Cherry Magic, there's a lot of like internal like dialogue freaking out about like, oh my gosh, does he like me? Does he not like me? Well, like Cherry Magic is different. I won't get into it in the fact that he can read minds. This character cannot read minds, but the internal dialogue aspect of it, ruminating about emotions, feelings, the humor, like the slight humor to it, I think fans of Cherry Magic would like this. So yeah, I highly recommend. Really quick, my favorite scene is like when he's asking his mob boss, "Oh, who's your romantic type?" And like he's waiting for an answer, but then like gang activities are happening. That's like clearly not important, but he's just like, "I this can't wait. I need to know." So it's like things like that. It's like the humor in that I really enjoyed, so had to put this on my list. Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're gonna continue with Kaina of the Great Snow Sea, number one. This is by Tsutomu Nihei, illustrated by Toei Takamoto, and this is from Kodansha. This I completely fell in love with the anime. There's only one season, and unfortunately, it was one of those seasons where it's built sort of like we're gonna do one and done, and they kind of resolved in the anime. They do sort of in the last episode, the last 5 minutes, they give you sort of a a summary of what the end should be, but not the whole story. So I was so happy when Kodansha said, "Oh no, we're translating this. We're doing this in English." And there's so much more story. And I got to tell you, so this is dystopian sci-fi fantasy. It's compared a lot to a lot of the Studio Ghibli stuff, like Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, Castle in the Sky, kind of like this, and you'll see it's very much like that. It's a world where there are these huge trees. First of all, the sea has turned all to snow, and there's no earth left, basically. They don't know if there is. It's just like deep snow sea. There are these trees, and the story begins at the top of the trees and the canopy, which creates sort of another world on top of the branches, and the branches are sort of like clouds or snow that you can walk on top. And then there's this world up there, and a young man named Kaina lives over there, and he's the only young man in this village full of older people, and he dreams about what could be, beneath the canopy and on the snow sea. And one day they get a surprise visit by this girl who turns out to be uh, a princess from that world below. I mean, he doesn't know that, but and he helps her get down, and the village gets together and says, yes, you need to do this, you need to first. Also, they want him to like say, oh, another young person, you need to go there, not stay with us old people up here, but also get your adventure. And when he gets down, he discovered there's a lot of turmoil in this world. There's a lot of fight over water because it's very scarce, and scarce. And there are these two big factions that are fighting against each other and trying to destroy each other for the water resources. And there's a lot of politics, a lot of drama that's happening there. And and he embarks into this adventures as a stranger in another world with this girl who's he's saved, but at the same time gets saved by her all the time. And it's the writing is very good because it takes his ignorance of this world, of the snow sea world, but at the same, it's sort of it he looks at everything with new eyes, and he brings his knowledge from the canopy and it applies him down here, and he becomes this sort of for those of you from the kids from the 70s, like a MacGyver kind of character where he can has a solution for every issue and every situation with just very simple materials. He can get themselves out of trouble because he can think. He comes from a world where there's not a lot of resources. Uh, so another one where very strong characters, very good chemistry between each other, but also a very beautiful and very deep story, and the world building of this is amazing. And I hope we get more and more volumes. We have three so far, but I want like 20, 30 volumes of this for sure. So there you go.
All right, next up I have Always a Catch. This is based on a hit web novel, but so this is the manga version. It's a romantic comedy about Maria, who is a duke's daughter and who grew up basically with the intention of inheriting her father's dukedom, but that gets blown out of the way because her baby brother was born and he's now next in line to inherit. And so what is she going to do with her life? Well, at that time period, it's marriage. So she is kind of late to the marriage game, and all the eligible flat bachelors are taken. So she goes to a neighboring, like, country to find a husband for herself. She gets involved in a mix-up with this prince dude, but eventually,
Prince
with
dude,
her
I like it.
eventually with her fighting skills, which she thinks she doesn't really need to use anymore, but actually turns into her favor because she just basically punches her way to love because the prince likes that about her. So he just happens to have a thing for ladies who can knock out a pack of bandits, which she basically does here. So why I like it, I like how over the top and infatuated the prince is with her. Like his adoration, if anyone's watching Yakuza Fiance, we have that character named Kashima from that show and from that manga who is like he's a sadomasochist. He's the prince is definitely not that as far as I'm concerned.
As far as we
But
know.
like it's they're different. I'm not saying that
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
same.
yeah.
They're very different, but like the adoration, almost like the way that they view their the person that they're crushing on, the way that they view them is almost like deity status. That's what I'm talking about. Like he doesn't want to take his hands off of her, kind of person. So it's like very over the top dramatic. I love that about this. Instead of a Yakuza mob family like you see in Yakuza Fiance, you don't have that. It's just like a duke's daughter trying to like get into a marriage situation, right? So going back to this story, we have Maria. This is another reason why I think fans of that Yakuza Fiance would like this, because you have a main protagonist who is very much herself. She is unbothered, in the sense where she's like very secure in her identity, who she is, unbothered by like it's just like she's just a very self-assured, confident like protagonist, and you see that here. And she's very much herself. Like I love how the art very much like she makes weird faces. Like she likes she's right here in the scene she's demonstrating how to count sheep to go to sleep. With these like
In a very extreme way. Yeah.
in a very extreme martial arts way, and
Yeah.
she makes him laugh. It's just her personality is what like is very much endearing. I love that she like picks up all of these fanboys, fangirls because of like they just love who she is. She has so much presence as a character. And she just like all she's doing is being herself, going about her life. It's just a load of fun to read. So I do highly recommend picking this up if you haven't done so already. So yeah, that's it.
And then my last
Mhm.
pick is Hat Atelier. And I did mine in order, alphabetical order, but I also left this one to last because, you got to end with this one with a big bang. Um, this is, if you don't know, probably going to be the biggest manga anime for next year. It's getting already a lot of buzz, um, and as the anime, but also the manga is amazing. And as you can see here on the cover, is a Eisner Award winner for this year. So, um, just very quickly, this is sort of I hate it, but they do compare a lot to Harry Potter. It does have themes of Harry Potter because it's, you know, uh, sort of an outsider going to a magic school in it. It does have a lot of Studio Ghibli sort of characters and themes in it. Sort of feels a little bit like that, and especially the illustrations. And the creator and the illustrator and author of this, Kamone Shirohama, has been lauded because he's not just an amazing author, but he's also a very amazing illustrator. I'm going to go through some of the illustrations in here, trying not to get some blank pages for you there. um, he does amazing, not just doing very intricate art and beautiful art, but also he is a master of managing the panels. He is so good about drawing and blending illustrations outside of panels, in different shapes, doing two-page or one-page illustrations that and it all flows so beautifully from page to page. It is definitely a masterpiece. It's already won awards and it's going to keep winning awards. And the story, just going to tell you, it's very simple. It's Coco, this little girl who lives in a world where magic is everything for everyone, and life is around magic, but she doesn't have magic, and her dream is to become a witch. And then she meets a stranger who kind of makes her see magic and the world in a different way that helps her attain that dream. This is volume 12, and throughout all these first volumes, you're going to see Coco growing and make friends and have lots of adventures. And there's obviously lots of things that go wrong and they have to overcome. And it's one of those, and it does fit in. It's a very Harry Potter-esque story, but I feel like it's beyond that because the world is not our world, and it's such a beautiful and complex world that the author has created. And the fact that he wrote and illustrated this, not to say that authors and illustrators separately cannot combine and come and do something. You can tell it all comes from the same mind and the same heart. It blends in so well. um I don't want to say a lot about it because I think a lot of people already know what it's about, but I think you need to check it out if you haven't. Keep your eye out. Like I said, it's already become one of the top selling mangas this year. It is going to blow up next year once the anime comes out. I'm sure of it. If you haven't checked out the trailer, you need to go check it out after you watch this video. Don't stop yet. Just finish the video and then go. And yeah, I can't recommend it any more than that. I think you just have to. This is the must for 2025 for sure.
Mhm. All right, so that's it for our favorites of the year. Thank you for sticking with us if you have at the end of the video. Our social media links are down below in the description. We do have other videos on this channel, so definitely check us out there. And again, PRH International Comics. And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you all for joining us. We have fun doing these. Comment down below on what your favorites are for the year of 2024. And with that, we'll leave you here. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.